I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain.
Being just in contact with you from day one of this project, I remember the days where you were sort of talking about this as a laptop film almost, that you'd have to kind of just do Zoom meetings and stuff. And then it was like, well, no, that's just not going to work. And then, you ended up with 10 film crews around the world. So it's
Yes.
what I'm saying, you didn't just create kind of a new genre of film, you've actually created a new way of filming as well. Not just because of the lockdown, but because you're just in one location.
Yeah.
And you're filming all around the world with different film crews, with
Mhm.
what your phones and laptops kind of propped up to see the action and all this shit. Like, I'm kind of and you pull it off absolutely beautifully as well. From seeing the first cut of the film. So yeah, I just thought it was worth pointing out, like, just how much you've developed this film from day one, not just in terms of the content, but the filming techniques as well, really.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll sort of talk about my team. So my main partner, who's the lead producer, Ben-Moshe, who also plays the character of Levi, and his character is maybe the most autobiographical. But we started out, it was just, we had a meeting and it was like, well, we got to do something, because he and I were on the other project we were about to do, which was getting financed, and then the lockdowns hit. So we were like, no, we've got to do something. And he's kind of at the same position I'm at, where it was just, he was at a point, well, man, have I wasted my life? Are we ever going to be able to make movies again? We can't afford to wait years just to do something. So, but that's where I'm saying about humble beginnings, like we had nothing. So it started out just with that, the idea that we could do like the equivalent of a Zoom movie where people are, because that's how people were talking at the time, right? And I guess they still are to a degree. Then it's like, oh, we could add camera here. And we shot around Australia. So we handled that with many film crews and stuff. But then we got, as you say, we got about 8 to 10 film crews around the world, whether it's China, Italy, and then multiple states around America, and Israel as well. So it just kind of grew. But so he and I, we were just gradually thinking, okay, well, let's not put a limit on this. Let's not say what it is. Let's not say what we can't do. And Gil was always, his whole thing is aim high, and also just ask people you don't know. And so we just found partners who, they just happened to have a little film studio or a crew or something, that type of thing. We found really great partners. But then my other key ally, Simon Carter, he's the DOP on this, and he's also the editor. He sort of brought the practicality to it. So Gil and I come from acting and writing backgrounds, but we really needed someone who's the nuts, can really think about the logistics of all this. So that was really great. That's where it became more real, I feel, as I really started to say, okay, I've got this idea. This is during pre-production. I got this idea, but how would we pull this off? How would you do that? Could it look okay cinematography wise? How would you, some people early on, they thought, this is almost like I don't know if they knew what we were doing, but the consensus early on is it's better to always be on the location. So sometimes if you had two actors on remote conferencing calls and things like that, you would think the consensus would be, well, it would be better if you did it on a film set, but not necessarily, because sometimes we had the equivalent of virtual film set. But once you get on a film set, the problem is there's a lot of distractions. So this was a way for the actors, I felt, to make it all about the acting. There's nothing else. There's nothing competing. Now, these are the scenes I'm talking about. Probably 60% of it is this sort of, we're recreating video calls. Even if we've got cameras shooting people, and then in the edit, we make it look like a video call, right? But what I mean is, the difference is that the actors could just really focus on their acting, but not only that, in the edit, when you put it together, and this is what the feedback I'm getting from the first cut, the first edit, is that by looking at two people on the screen at the same time, Have you thought about this? It's something you never see in movies.
Well, they used to do that in 60s movies, didn't they? Not
True.
static like you're talking about, but you
No.
used to have that split screen a lot more, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I think Tarantino used that a bit, but that was very in a sort of just shortly used in cinema, I think, wasn't it? But you're absolutely right. But having two static shots is, I mean, you do that beautifully, I think, you know, because I remember us talking in the early days about sort of like, are there any laptop movies out there? And I think, I told you I'd seen a couple that were just awful, you know. Like, I think, you know, and you realise that you had to find a sort of way, you know, to go beyond that. And like you say, just kind of shooting it and then making it look like a Zoom call. You really see the difference. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there was a lot of that.
Hang on, just excuse me 1 minute. I'm going to be honest with you, and that is,
please.
Look, in one sense, I was glad that you didn't come to Rachel's funeral because, well, no, listen, hear me out. Because the few times that you have been here in the past, the few times that you have come back, you haven't actually been here. Yeah, you've been gone in your head, tuned out, refusing to engage with the family.
And why do you think that was, Mark? Why do you think I moved all the way to California? Why do you think I don't even speak like an Aussie anymore?
You need to tell me. So let's just make sure that if you see me call, you got to pick up. Okay, let's just begin there. Oh, shoot. All right.
No, it's been like 12 hours, then just relax. I'm probably sleeping.
Okay, maybe you're sleeping or maybe you're not okay, and I don't know that. So right now you can talk to me for 2 seconds if I call.
I am talking to you for 2 seconds. Here I am. Hello.
But yeah, have you thought about how normally in a movie, let's say you've got like an over-the-shoulder shot, which is common. There's two actors and they're in close-ups. And what they do, the editor makes the decision, okay, who do you watch at any given moment? But do you ever have that experience where you go, oh, I want to see the other actor?
Okay, yeah.
Do you ever have that? Yeah. So what I like about this is that you can decide, or even in your peripheral vision, you can pick up both of them. Like you might be looking at one actor, but then the other guy does a real expression.
Yeah, right, that's interesting.
Yeah. And so I think that's what a lot of these are happy accidents. It's just as we got into it, we started going, like, so we did test work in pre-production, like how would you do this? But the funny story is the night before filming with these sort of techniques, it was Gil, the actor in Australia, and then it was Lital Luzon, brilliant actress in Israel. We were shooting I remember we were starting about 7 a.m. and Simon and I were like 2 a.m. the morning before we realized we had a major technical problem, or a couple of them, but one of them was we couldn't work out, okay, can they look into camera? Is that going to break the suspension of disbelief? How will that work? And we started to think, we were thinking this couldn't even work. And then suddenly we just found, we were looking at some of our test footage and we realized, oh, that's how we can do it. And I don't need to bore anyone with what the technical thing was. But what I mean was, it was really, as you say, no one's really cracked this technique of no one's really done it in a film. We looked at a few like you're describing and they were just atrocious. I mean, the worst one I saw is ones where they didn't record it live. Can you imagine? So one actor says his line, then they insert the other actor. Can you imagine that?